It's not often a court case on the other side of the world makes headlines in Canada, but this one could have an impact here. The Australian government has won the right to bring in the toughest cigarette packaging rules in the world. And that has anti-smoking advocates in Canada calling for similar action. And CBC senior investigative correspondent Diana Swain is here with the details tonight. Diana.
Well, Ian, many people will be familiar with these packages. I mean, they're covered with graphic and disturbing images. In fact, they were made larger in Canada just a couple of months ago. But now this Australian court has ruled that even this is too attractive to some smokers. And the warnings there will now need to be much, much larger. Tobacco packages in Australia look much like they do here, but the new ruling means down under they'll soon look like this. Gruesome photos on top, no attractive packaging or colors anywhere, the brand name banished to the bottom of the pack in basic font. No way left for tobacco companies to entice you to buy.
Death should not be sold in a little perfume pack like it is now.
Anti-smoking advocates say Canada now has to follow Australia's lead.
Right now in Canada, the package is the biggest form of advertising, and the government needs to stop that.
Several years ago, Health Canada concluded warnings covering 50% of each pack sold in Canada just weren't enough anymore. Ottawa spent over $3 million examining what to do. One study advised that both the 90% and 100% size options had the greatest potential to increase the effectiveness of the health warnings. But in 2010, the federal health minister surprised provincial counterparts when she said the plans for larger labels had been indefinitely postponed. CBC News then reported on the extensive lobby effort against larger labels by the tobacco industry and big business. Weeks later, Ottawa announced it would increase warnings to cover 75% of the pack. Some tobacco companies are now suing Ottawa for that. CBC News obtained the statement of claim from Imperial Tobacco, which says the increased label size restricts tobacco manufacturers' ability to convey their trademark and brand information to their customers and to protect the value of their trademarks and brands. Tobacco companies tried to use the Australian courts to fight for brand space too, but today's ruling means they lost.
Tobacco companies no longer have any excuses not to get on with implementing this measure.
Health Canada told CBC News today it'll be watching the Australian example and didn't rule out the same thing eventually happening here.
We hope that other countries, including Canada, perhaps one day will benefit from the Australian experience.
We do know that both New Zealand and the UK are studying these larger warnings as well that would take all brand packaging off the package. Anti-smoking advocates say this is a trend that Canada needs to follow, and they say that this ruling in Australia is the opening. The tobacco companies, Ian, say the opposite. They say this changes nothing, that a ruling in Australia has no bearing on Canadian courts, and more pointedly, they say their lawsuit here over the 75% package is still ongoing.